In some ways, the Titans running back Derrick Henry feels like he belongs in a different era because today's NFL is all about the passing game, and running backs are probably judged by their ability to catch passes and maybe pick up blitzes. No longer do teams run to set up the pass. They pass to make the run a little easier. Henry and the Titans turned that formula on its head a couple of years ago, and they're not trying to fool you. They let you know Derrick Henry's coming right at you. Just try to stop him. And last night the Bills couldn't. Well, at least on one run, a 76-yarder that helped Tennessee pick up the win. Derrick Henry is leading the league in rushing by over 200 yards through 6 weeks. Teams aren't geared to stop Derrick Henry. They used to be, but defenses have gotten smaller and faster. And this is to counter the spread offenses. And that makes somebody like Derrick Henry a unique challenge because there's no other running back like him. You know, he took Tennessee to the AFC title game in 2019. He's 27, still going strong, and we'll see if he can do the same for the Titans and maybe take them further while he's still at the top of his game. There have been a lot of analytics on Derrick Henry, and I've said this for years. At some point, some team is going to have a counterattack. That if you have smaller defensive players, you want faster defensive players, you got to cover your wide receivers, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. At some point, somebody is going to utilize a running game, and Derrick Henry has been that battering ram. It's like I've said about the NBA. Everybody's trying to shoot the three. Does somebody maybe have a counterintuitive approach and they just have big men? Like, how would you deal with Shaq in today's NBA game? How would you utilize him? Because you wouldn't be relying on the three. And we've seen this with teams that they can't compete that way, shouldn't try to compete that way, so they build a team differently. And you've seen that with Tennessee. Now, the analytics are looking at Derrick Henry. If he can keep up this pace per game, over his last 40 games, he's averaging almost 120 rushing yards per game. So it would take him almost 100 games to break Emmitt Smith's record. And he would do that at the age of 33. That's the same age that Emmitt Smith was when he set the record. Okay, I don't like when somebody says somebody's on pace because I go back to if somebody throws 4 touchdown passes in the first week of the NFL season, what are they on pace for? Well, the odds of that happening are very, 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 well, they're not happening. And that's why when you say, you know, he's on a pace for, okay, that doesn't mean he's going to be able to maintain that pace. Not that running style. And, you know, Emmitt was different because that was a balanced offense he had. He had an unbelievable offensive line. He had Hall of Famers on that offensive line. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback. He had a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Emmitt was durable as well. You know, I remember when he had the separated shoulder one season. But Derrick Henry started out where he wasn't the featured back the first couple of years. He wasn't even the featured back at Alabama's entire career there. So he does have less wear and tear, but he is inviting contact there, and it's a little bit different. Is he a bigger running back, faster running back than Emmitt Smith? He is. But it felt like you could run to set up the pass or you could pass to set up the run with the Dallas Cowboys, with that team. They were that versatile. With Tennessee, I'd like to see more out of those wide receivers. They just can't stay healthy. And Ryan Tannehill has proven he's gotten that second chance, second career, and he's played well. But it comes down to Derrick Henry and playing pretty good defense because that's what happened last night. I mean, Buffalo did a pretty good job on Derrick Henry. I mean, Buffalo could have won that game. Derrick Henry had one big run, but then they were holding him to about 3 yards per carry. You got to hold on for dear life and not let him hit a home run, and that's what happened last night. But it came down to a quarterback sneak, game of inches. Josh Allen, and he talked about it last night on the failed fourth down conversion.
Didn't work out in our favor, obviously. Didn't have the greatest footing. It happens, game of inches. The play before was pretty close, too. Didn't turn out in our favor today. We were 2 of 5 in the red zone. We can't do that against a team like this. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I got no doubt that, we're going to use this to fuel us and be ready to go in 2 weeks.
Here's the Bills head coach, Sean McDermott, on that play.
At the end of the day, I trust him, and I'll trust him again if we're in that situation again. So I'll take Josh Allen As you said, Sal, 10 times out of 10. So give them the credit. They made the play they had to make when the game was on the line.
Week 5 last season, Titans beat the Bills 42-16. I think the Titans are a good team. When healthy, I think they can be a really good team. But we haven't seen that yet. But last night, that's one of those wins that you might look back on this and say, wow, that was an impressive win, or that really propelled this team. I don't know, and I still think the Bills are the team to beat right now in the AFC. But that win last night, that's impressive. And I think the Titans, that's one of those where you just tap people on the shoulder and say, we're still here, because it's such a long season. And everybody is getting injured. Like, hey, let's tack on another game. Yeah, sure. And look at all the injuries, and here we are. 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You might have to have another bye week for these teams. But this is a battle of attrition. Can Derrick Henry continue to do this? Will those wide receivers be healthy? I just don't know about Julio Jones. And there were certainly whispers when he was in Atlanta that he didn't want to play football anymore. And he wanted out. They had no problem letting him go, because I think they saw if he's got something, it might not be for long.